right now, like this very weekend, there are thousands of couples returning from these gorgeous, sun-drenched destination weddings.
Oh, absolutely. Italy, Mexico, you name it.
Right. And they have the professional photos, they have the incredible memories, the tan lines.
Yeah.
But they're completely unaware that in the eyes of the law, they're essentially just legally single roommates who threw a really, really expensive party.
It's wild. And it happens far more often than anyone in the wedding industry wants to admit, honestly. I mean, you can spend $100,000 on a celebration, right? But without the exact right piece of government paper executed flawlessly, the state simply does not care about your floral arrangements.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, our mission in this deep dive is to expose the hidden, unglamorous, yet utterly vital foundation of getting married.
Yeah, the paperwork.
Exactly. We've been combing through a massive stack of research, including a highly detailed legal planning guide from Weddizer, to understand the frankly terrifying world of marriage licenses, local bureaucracy, and efficient timing.
It really is a maze.
It is. Because whether you are currently planning a wedding, or maybe standing in a bridal party this year, or if you're just someone who is fascinated by the invisible bureaucratic scaffolding that holds our major life milestones together, you really need to understand this.
Oh, 100%.
And look, if you are listening to this on your way to a cake tasting or a venue tour, I know this sounds like a massive buzzkill.
A total vibe killer, yeah.
Right. But setting aside time to tackle this clinical reality is exactly what protects that beautiful ceremony you're planning from quietly turning into a legal nightmare.
It really is a profound shift in perspective that every couple eventually has to make.
How so?
Well, we spend our entire lives being sold the romantic sensory experience of a wedding, the dresses, the music.
Right, the cinematic stuff.
Exactly. But the mechanism that actually transforms two individuals into a recognized legal union is, it's a purely administrative function.
Yeah.
It's a government mandate. And the rules governing that mandate are incredibly rigid and quite dangerously, wildly decentralized.
Well, let's start right there with the core mechanism, the marriage license itself.
Okay.
Looking at the data, one of the biggest misconceptions is that the license is just some, commemorative certificate you sign and frame on your wall to remember the day.
Oh, I see that all the time. People think it's a souvenir.
Right.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It is the exact, specific legal document that grants you permission from the state to alter your legal status.
Yes.
I actually like to think of it like applying for a major building permit.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, you can buy all the expensive wood, you can hire the best architects, and gather all your friends to help you build.
Sure.
But you cannot legally break ground until the state has inspected the foundation and authorized the construction.
Right.
If you built it anyway without the permit, the city won't recognize it as a legal structure, and they might just condemn it.
That is a perfect way to look at it because it really highlights the concept of legal permission versus action. What's fascinating here is that the reason this building permit the marriage license is so fraught is because of that decentralization I mentioned earlier.
Right, the local rules.
Yeah. You might assume that because marriage is a federally recognized status, the process of entering into it would be standardized. Much like getting a passport.
Which makes sense logically.
It does, but it's not. It operates on a hyper-local level.
Right. Our research shows it's not just different from country to country or even state to state.
Not at all.
You can literally cross a county line in the same state and suddenly face entirely different requirements. Like what kind of ID you need, how many witnesses have to be physically present, or even who is allowed to legally marry you.
Exactly. And to understand why, you really have to look at the history of how these records were kept.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Long before we had centralized digital federal databases, local parishes and county clerks were the only entities capable of tracking the population.
Oh, sure, like writing things down in big ledger books.
Yeah. Right. Who owned what land, who was the next of kin, who was legally responsible for whom. That power was delegated to the local level centuries ago, and honestly, it has largely stayed there.
Wow.
Because of this, assumptions are the absolute enemy of a legally recognized marriage.
So you really can't just wing it.
No, definitely not. You cannot assume that because your college roommate got married with just a driver's license in one county, you can do the exact same thing in a neighboring county.
The state is playing inspector, basically.
Yes. And you have to play by their hyper-specific, local rules.
Which means you are completely at the mercy of their schedule, thrusting you onto this incredibly stressful timeline tightrope.
Oh, the timeline is where people really get into trouble.
Yeah, the planning data from Weddizer points out there was a specific golden window to actually go apply for this license. The sweet spot is generally between 30 and 90 days before the ceremony.
Right.
But you can't just walk in whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
You have to navigate mandatory waiting periods.
Yes.
So why does the government dictate a forced pause between applying for a license and actually using it?
Well, the waiting period is a pretty fascinating piece of legal history, actually. Depending on the jurisdiction, it might be 24 hours, 3 days, sometimes up to 6 days.
That's a huge variation.
It is. Historically, these were cooling off periods. They were instituted by lawmakers to prevent coerced marriages, fraudulent unions, or, the classic Vegas-style drunken mistake.
Oh, that makes sense. Trying to stop impulsive decisions.
Exactly. And in a pre-digital era, it also acted as a civil version of the church bans.
Wait, what are bans?
It was a period of time where the community was essentially put on notice that a marriage was about to happen, just in case someone needed to step forward with a legal objection, like an existing secret spouse.
Oh, wow. Like a literal speak now or forever hold your peace situation.
Precisely. Today, the mechanism remains, meaning if you apply on a Friday for a Saturday wedding in a state with a 3-day waiting period, your ceremony on Saturday is legally void.
Okay, I have to stop you there and push back a little bit.
Sure.
I know a lot of people who are serious, type A planners. The kind of people who have their venues and caterers locked down like 2 years in advance.
Oh, the binder people. I know them well.
Exactly, the binder people. So if navigating this waiting period is so critical and the paperwork is so essential, why wouldn't a proactive couple just march down to the courthouse a year in advance?
You think so, right?
Yeah. Just get the paperwork signed and completely eliminate the stress. Why wait for this anxiety-inducing 30 to 90-day window?
Because the local government also sets traps in the other direction, expiration dates. Applying too early is actually one of the most common legal pitfalls couples fall into. A marriage license doesn't last forever.
Really?
Yeah. The state needs to ensure the information on that document, like your legal status, your residency, is current at the exact moment you marry. So they cap its validity.
Meaning, if our hyper-organized type A planner gets it 6 months in advance to be safe.
By the time they actually get to the altar, that piece of paper is completely worthless.
Oh.
Yeah, a jurisdiction might mandate the license is only valid for 60 days from the date of issue. So you have this delicate balancing act.
Right.
You have to thread the needle between the waiting period applying too late and the expiration date applying too early.
So the document is basically a ticking time bomb.
That's a great way to put it.
But here's the thing. You can't even lock in this timeline until you have the person who is going to defuse that bomb. You have to have your Officiant book before you apply.
Yes, that is a critical step.
So you have this piece of paper, but right now, it's just a useless countdown timer. It only gains legal power the second an authorized person activates it. And that activation energy relies entirely on the Officiant.
That's the precise mechanism.
Okay.
We culturally view the Officiant as a spiritual guide, or maybe just a charismatic friend who knows how to set the emotional tone for the vows.
Sure, the person who tells the nice stories.
Right. But legally speaking, that person is a deputized agent of the state. Yeah, the state cannot physically send a government representative to every single wedding to verify the contract is being entered into willingly and legally. So they delegate that authority to authorized officiants. Judges, registered ministers, civil celebrants.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Okay.
We always assume the Officiant handles everything, like they do the ceremony, they sign the paper, they make it legal.
That's the standard assumption.
Right. But our deep dive into the research revealed a terrifying twist. In some locations, it is actually the couple's legal responsibility to take the signed license and physically submit it back to the local government after the wedding.
It is a massive shift in liability.
That's wild to me.
It really is. If your officiant is a professional, they usually handle the filing as part of their service. But if you have a friend get ordained online, they might not know the local filing laws.
Right.
Or worse, the local law dictates that only the couple can file it, no matter what.
Could you imagine the absolute panic?
Oh, I've seen it.
You just had this massive, exhausting, beautiful day. You wake up the next morning, your bags are packed, the Uber's outside to take you to the airport for a 2-week honeymoon.
Yeah.
And suddenly you realize you are holding highly sensitive government documents that you personally have to hand deliver to a county clerk's office before the expiration clock runs out.
It completely shatters the post-wedding bliss.
I will be so stressed out.
Which is why understanding the mechanism of who handles the document is just as critical as what is on the document. And the friction doesn't stop there.
Of course it doesn't.
Because before that officiant can even sign the document, the state has to verify you are legally allowed to be holding it in the first place. That requires proving your identity and your legal history.
Right, the bureaucratic obstacle course.
Yes.
The sheer volume of paperwork required to get a marriage license is staggering. We are talking about needing government-issued photo IDs, birth certificates.
All of it.
And if either person was married before, you need physical copies of official divorce decrees or the death certificates of former spouses. Yeah. Very important.
Plus passports, proof of residence, social security information. I mean, it is so jarring. You are mixing the absolute peak of romance with the clinical depths of bureaucracy.
It is a tonal whiplash, for sure. But the mechanism behind it is self-preservation for the state.
What do you mean?
Well, the state has a vested interest in preventing bigamy and fraud. State and national databases for marriages and divorces are notoriously fragmented.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. A clerk in Ohio cannot instantly verify if you finalized a divorce in Nevada last week. The systems just don't talk to each other like that.
So it's on you to prove it.
The burden of proof falls entirely on the individual. You have to provide the physical